Hi, this is Eric Daw from OmniFit, and I want to talk to you about a very important letter, and it's the letter C. Or is it C from your angle? C here or C here? I'm not sure. Anyway, it's the letter C. And why the letter C is so important? Well, first I'm going to show you a picture. So if you see this picture right here, what do you see? You see somebody sitting down and they're just looking at something, a cell phone, it could be a book, it could be anything. But I'm going to take this same picture and now I'm going to draw a line. And what do you see when I draw this line? Well, I'm sure you see the letter C. And a lot of times, a lot of people, whether you're sitting or don't be confused, standing, their body's actually in the letter C position, which is obviously not good for your posture or overall health. So I'm going to actually talk about what muscles are weak, what muscles are tight, and what we can do about it in regards to fixing or even addressing some of these problems. So, I like to say this. Let's get into it. So to address the first part of the letter C, we're going to start with the upper body. And as you can see from this graph, I have 4 sections. One is weak, one is weak again, another is tight, and another is tight. So I'm going to focus on these 4 parts and give you an exercise for each of them and how to address and improve the letter C. So let's first start with the weak parts. So the first weak part we're going to address is your neck, or the front of your neck, called your deep neck flexors. What I'd like you to do is lie on your back. You can keep your knees bent like mine with the back of your head flat on the ground. If you notice, my chin, for the most part, is facing towards my chest. And once you're in this position, tuck your head and you should really feel it in the front of your neck and the back actually. So if you have a hard time keeping your chin at your chest, this is where I want you to use a pillow to support your head. So once you support your head, then I want you to do the same thing. Tuck your chin. You should know even before you move if you need a pillow or not, because your chin won't be facing your chest. It'll be pointed in the air. For a weak mid-back, you know how much I love the prone cobra. So I'm doing it lying down right here, but you can as easily do it standing up if you can't get on the ground. The key on this exercise, regardless of either you're on your stomach or standing, is to take your thumbs and turn them as far behind as you possibly can and really focus on squeezing those shoulder blades together. That's excellent for strengthening the mid-back. Now let's move on to the areas that are tight. So areas that are tight need stretching. So the first area that I want to focus on is the chest. And I'm sure you have a doorway. And if you can walk up to the doorway, what I really want you to do is put your elbows right on the edge of the doorway. And as you see me doing right here, step through it slightly. What you should feel is a good stretch right across the chest. What this does is really opens your chest up and improves your posture. Next, I want you to smell your armpit. No, I'm not kidding. I actually want you to take your nose and point it towards your armpit. What you should feel is a stretch in the back of your neck. And if you need a little assistance or to feel the stretch more, you can use your hand, but gently. So now we're getting actually into the lower body, and we're going to start with the areas that need to be strengthened. And as you folks notice from previous videos, hip bridging is the way to go to strengthen those glutes that are weak. So the first one was a regular hip bridge. This one is a single leg hip bridge, which is a little bit more challenging than the other one. But the key on this one, again, is to really drive your hip in the air. So what you should feel is those glutes, so your butt muscles, that need to be strengthened, where most people typically are very weak. Next, with either the knee plank or, as you'll see a little bit later, the toe plank, this is how we strengthen our abdominals. The key on this one is to keep your body in as rigid of a line as possible. So if these are hard, you should look at my previous video about breathing when it comes to your core. But for initially working the core, try the either knee or regular plank. So as I said with the upper body, the areas that are tight are the ones that need to be stretched. And as you'll notice in this diagram, the 2 areas are the low back and the hip flexors. So let's start with the hip flexors. As you'll see right here, I'm sitting sideways on the chair. What I want you to do is take your outside leg and put it as far back as you possibly can. What you should feel is a stretch in the front of your hip and thigh. Also, what's very important is bring your upper body as tall as you possibly can so you feel the stretch more. Last but not least, the glutes. So if you can't cross your legs, I want you just to pull your knee as high as you can to your chest while you're sitting tall. If you can cross the legs, what I want you to do is actually cross your legs, still pull your knee up to your chest as you're sitting tall. What you should feel in this position is your piriformis, or your lower glutes, or basically in your glutes. This is the area right down here. So either way, this is our stretch for our glutes.